Claire. My parents lost a baby, Jonathan, before I was born. He was their third child, and I was born after that.
Well, my name's Felicity, and I married Tony when we finished our degree at Leicester University, and we started a family, and we had Susanna, who was a healthy bouncing baby, and her brother Joseph, and we decided that perhaps that was a large enough family, but Jonathan came along and we were absolutely delighted. Tony felt in some ways that he was more like a grandfather by that time, although he was still very young. And Jonathan too was a very bouncing, happy baby. Very contented, the best sleeper of them all. He fed well, and we were really thrilled to have him. But unfortunately, when he was 3.5 months old, he died. We found him his first night away from us. We had him sleeping with us until then. And we decided it was time he moved into his own room, and he moved into his own bedroom, and that very first night he died. I found him the next morning, and that was the start of a long time of great sadness for our family. I didn't feel ready for quite a while. I didn't feel my family was ended. I felt certain that I would have another child at some point, but I just felt it was a very courageous step to take, and I wasn't sure that I was ready. And Tony, I think, was ready before I was, and so we said, yes, okay, we'll have a go. And 2 years later, Claire was born, and it was just wonderful, just wonderful. I was very neurotic. I wouldn't let her out of my sight for a year. She was in a little Moses basket, or beside me, or with me. And then after about a year, I won't say I relaxed, but my best friend pointed out that I needed to relax. And in order to relax, I went back to work, which probably put a better balance on the way I brought her up.
I think when I was very little, I didn't really understand it. I think there was a slight element of jealousy, just a tiny bit, towards my sister and brother, because they had known him, and somehow they were part of what the family had gone through more than I was. We didn't really, we didn't discuss Jonathan as a family. We didn't go to the grave. I didn't even know there was a grave until I was in my 20s. But my parents never kept it from me, and that was important to me. They never made me feel that I was just a replacement child or anything like that. I always felt that I could just be me, and that was the main thing. If I ever tried to live up to anything, and it was more me putting that on myself, I think, than anything my parents ever said to me. I think I always knew that I could ask about him if I wanted to. I did ask my mum once, when I think I was about 10 or 11 maybe, how she felt about it, and I know it sounds silly now, but I asked her whether she still felt sad about it, and she basically told me that yes, she did, of course. I now see that that's silly, but she then told me that my being there, my coming along, had made it easier, and that was very humbling, really. You know, to think, gosh, I'm just little me, and that's humbling. And I think more than anything that my parents ever said to me, I think things that I said to myself, like, come on, you've got to make it worth it that you're around. Far more important than anything that other people said to me.
Talking with her now, I realise I should have discussed it with her much sooner, I think. I was so anxious not to be paranoid about letting her do things, letting her develop, letting her move on. She was such a precious baby to us. I think it had a major impact on her life. I'm sure it's had a major impact on her life. And I think I was sort of almost afraid of, if you like, the bubble bursting by talking to her about what happened. So it's only relatively recently that I have discussed it with her, and it's been interesting finding out how she felt.
I think the way that I was told from the inkling that I can remember was that some babies unexpectedly die and we don't know why, and I think that was good and that's true, that I was told that very clearly, but having grown up always knowing that was a possibility and that was close at hand, that's always been there in the back of my mind, and it does make me worry more now, definitely. But I'm a natural worrier as well, but I'm determined that's not going to let me sort of miss out on enjoying being a mum, because I'm really excited about it. So all we can do is sort of put everything in place. We've got the county scheme to help us, and I'm really looking forward to it. So.